we got the announcement. We're getting a movie called The Mandalorian and Grogu. Uh, it sounds like this is the one that's going to conclude the Thrawn storyline, unite our friends and everybody that's in the Filoni universe. This kind of worries me in a way because I hate for them to call this shot right now, a little bit, in my opinion, a little soon when Dave Filoni just got the reins to the Empire. And so I don't know if this means that he has bigger plans, more plans, and he needs to kind of settle this down a little bit so he can move on to that. What was your reaction to this, Kevin, when you heard about this new movie?
I excitement to begin with. Jon Favreau's directing it, so that's
Yeah.
always good for me when it comes to Star Wars specifically. But I don't think this is going to be the Dave Filoni verse end. Like, I don't think this is going to be the end of the Mandalorian Ahsoka Thrawn thing. I think this is leading up to that still.
Okay.
That's my first thought, and that Filoni's going to make his own movie still is probably what's going to happen. That'll lead to his new version of what the I almost said the MCU, what the Star Wars universe is going to end up being after that. I'm
Do you
excited.
think they're gonna? Do you think they're gonna make this basically heir to the Empire?
It could be honestly, yeah. Now that spoilers for the end of Ahsoka season 1, but now that
Mhm.
Thrawn's back, it easily could be that for sure. And I would love to see that. I would love to see more of what those books had for Thrawn in these live action movies, and just the excitement that I have for that, and seeing the Mandalorian and Grogu face off against Thrawn, that version of Thrawn, if that's what's going to happen,
Yeah.
that's really exciting.
It sounds like it is because Disney, they announced it, I think it was in December. They're making a new comic book series. It's going to be retelling Zahn's storyline, all through comic book form. And so right away, I was like, oh, 100% on board with that. That's going to be an easier way to read through it and really get the visuals of it.
Hmm.
And when Disney redoes something like that, it's like, okay, because we're going to be using it soon. So we have to, get that set. um, with the Mandalorian and Grogu, knowing how the Mandalorians work, are we setting up? Do you guys think they're setting up Grogu to kind of rise above this and be a future leader of the Star Wars universe? I kind of feel like the idea is that Mandalorian at some point is going to pass down everything he knows, and then Grogu's going to go off and Mando's going to die. Storytelling wise, what do you think?
Yeah, I could see like a dramatic scene where they're in a major battle or whatever, and the Mandalorian dies, and he dies trying to save Grogu or give him one last chance to escape or something like that. I could totally see them doing that because like he's a Mandalorian, he's not eternal, he can't live on forever. He's mortal like everyone else. Grogu though is almost ageless, so we know he can live on for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. I honestly though I kind of feel like they created Grogu without having a plan for his long term story. I feel
Yeah.
like it was like we're gonna make somebody who could sell some plush, and they didn't realize what kind of gas they were pouring on the fire, and all of a sudden everyone fell in love with him. They're like, oh well, we got to keep this guy around. We got to do more stuff with him, and so I don't know. There's no to me. There's no clear direction of where his character is going to go. Like I've seen online the pictures of him in armor and stuff like that. Like
Right.
he
Fan art.
might be a Mandalorian someday, kind of thing and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of all up in the air. I could see him, being a Jedi and forming the council and all that stuff, but I don't
Well,
know.
on that, the other movie thing that they've got going on Star Wars is the new Ray
Yeah.
movies. I think there's movies coming after episode 9, and Daisy Ridley's coming back to play Ray. Um, I am hoping that they're going to pull from the new Jedi Order book series
Mm-hmm.
for this, but just replace Luke Skywalker with Ray Skywalker. I used air
Yeah.
quotes there for you audio people.
And my and my blood immediately started boiling. But go ahead.
Yep, yep. And there's no way that Grogu wouldn't still be around for that. And if he doesn't totally forsake his Jedi past, like we have been led to believe he might, he could help Rey form the new Jedi Order and take on new intergalactic threats like the Yuuzhan Vong and stuff like that. Now that we know that intergalactic travel is possible in
Yeah.
canon Star Wars, it's very possible the new Jedi Order series, the villains from the books, could come to the live action with Grogu fighting them off. I think that'd be
Can you
cool.
kind of explain what that storyline is? Like, what is the threat there?
Well, I'm not going to explain much of the storyline because it's like 30
Okay.
books almost, but it's like
Jesus Christ.
25 books. I think it's about 25 books.
Oh,
But
okay. Well, then I'll jump into mine.
the Yuuzhan Vong, I don't know how to pronounce it because I've only ever seen it written.
Yeah.
They are in the books. They were the first intergalactic threat, so they came from another galaxy where the Force does not exist. So Jedi,
Wow.
as the protector of the galaxy, were useless against these guys because the Force does not apply to them. So it was just this new threat that they had to adapt to. And I honestly don't know how it ended. I'm guessing I know they had
Okay.
books after that, like the Legacy of the Force series. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing there was a Jedi hero that took over and found a new way to save everybody. But I'd love to see that in live action. Just to see Dave Filoni's version of that would be fucking killer, man.
Your simple description of that kind of blew my mind in one aspect. I was thinking like, well, when they use the force push and everything, like they're pushing them with air. I'm thinking like airbending and Avatar kind of thing. But no, and there's midichlorians everywhere, right? But it's the midichlorians in their body that you're actually controlling, that you're moving with the force. And so yeah, if these people come from somewhere else and they don't have midichlorians in their body, then there's nothing to push against. So that makes sense. That's just it's crazy. Blew my mind.
Y'all are trying to prequel this story here. Give us the prequel definition of it.
Oh, I gotta logic everything. It's gotta
Yeah.
make sense.
Yep.
Just
Well,
right.
I like that. One of the things I like about how the Mandalorians are being treated nowadays with the Dave Filoni universe and the Mandalorian and Grogu is we're seeing that you don't have to be a Jedi to have a moral code that you follow.
Yeah.
And it feels like Jedi or Star Wars of old and kind of the old school fans. It's always been like, well, you're a Jedi, you're a Sith, and everybody in between is just a scoundrel waiting to trade on you, and or you're barely shambles of the Rebel Alliance. But with the family and the tribe mentality that we see with the Mandalorian shows that like you could rely on each other, and even within the Mandalorians that we have, we're starting to see that they're starting to learn like it's okay if they don't wear a helmet kind of thing. Like we're getting a bit of that too. So if we do get your storyline and we have Grogu who's coming from both the Jedi and the Mandalorian side, we're going to have a better version of the Jedis going forward. And maybe Rey can't do it on her own and she'll have a young Grogu there, young still to that point, really, there to help her that will know more than just the Force and actually use, diplomacy or the small people that are just living in a village somewhere and not necessarily in a temple. I think that would be really nice to incorporate.
We still don't know where Grogu's people come from, right?
No, I don't
And I hope
think
that's
so.
a question never answered.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'd like to. I mean, it doesn't have to be that there's a planet of thousands of them because that would be kind of weird. Like he's supposed to be very rare, but it'd be interesting if they would explain something about like where he comes from and why there's so few of them and some stuff like that.